Lord God, we ask that you would come upon us. And through the power of your Holy Spirit, open our hearts. Teach us, O Lord. Strengthen us as we seek to serve and follow you, who is the author and giver of life, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. This was a quiet Independence Day for me. There were no parades, no festivities. It was a day instead of reflection. A day when I was alone for most of the day to give thanks for all the blessings that this country has been. For those who laid down their life to preserve our freedom. For those who had the courage to step out and to seek that freedom in the first place. And for the wonderful country in which we live. It was a time for me to remember that Independence Day is not just a past event that we remember. It is an ongoing reality. And that this country is very much a work in progress. That our core values are not something that we ever can sit back and say, we've arrived, we've achieved, we have made it. But instead, we're always working on those core values. Things like liberty, democracy, justice, equality, civil rights. They are ongoing. And we have made much progress in this country, especially in the last 50 years about civil rights. But as we've become painfully aware in the last year or two, that veneer is pretty thin. And there are times when it wears through, and where civil rights and equality are still something that we strive for and work toward. I remember the first time that I encountered a black man. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I turned to my mother and said, "What's wrong with that man?" Because I'd never seen anybody who was black before. I lived in a white neighborhood, in a white suburb. And that experience, I look back on it and think I probably should have reversed the question, what was wrong with me? Not what was wrong with him. Much change in the ensuing years. The world of the 1950s in which I grew up, the values that I had, the people that I knew, all began to change. We realized that we had much territory to cover in terms of civil rights and in terms of equality. I was about 9 years old when the civil rights movement began in this country. And I remember the impact that that had on my thinking. I began to see things differently. But also, things began to change. And my parents' friends were no longer all white. Some were black, some were Asian. My mother's best friend, Miss Taylor, is a black woman who was involved in the opposite side of politics from my mother. I remember looking at a photo album of my father's pictures when he went to war in the Pacific. He took a camera with him. And took pictures of what he saw and places they went. Some of the pictures were interesting, like the Enola Gay, the picture of that time. But often they were labeled so that he would remember where it was and what was going on. And when he referred to the Japanese, the labels were not flattering. You pretty much know what the names were. But they were littered throughout those photographs because those people were the enemy. They were ones that were fighting against. They were the ones that they were in fear of when it came right down to it. Later on, when my mother was active in local politics, the city of San Mateo had a sister relationship with Toyonaka, Japan. And my parents would travel back and forth to Japan, and Japanese folks would come and stay at our home. My father eventually decided to learn to speak Japanese, which is a daunting task. Never really did very well, but wanted to because of the relationship that he had with the people from Toyonaka. That's how people change. We change through relationship. We change through meeting people. I think of the attitudes that I once had and the attitude that I now have toward people that are different. And it was individuals that changed that. It was Vera and David. It was working with a priest who was gay. sister-in-law who's Filipino and my niece who's gay. It's meeting those people, seeing those people, getting to know them as individuals that changed my relationship with them. The question at the heart of our gospel today is this: when you look at somebody, what do you see? When you look at somebody, what do you see? All too often, we are programmed and conditioned to see something in particular, based upon how someone looks, based upon their outward appearance. And it's difficult for all of us to look beyond that, to see the person that is inside. That question, when you look at someone, what do you see, is at the heart of our gospel this morning. Because Jesus has returned to his hometown. People that knew him from the time he was a little kid, worse, they knew him when he was an adolescent. And if he shared the human experience, I believe he shared all of it, including the awkwardness and the difficulty that we all have when we're teenagers. They remembered that. They remembered playing with him. They remembered his family. And when he comes now to preach, they see, what is this? Who is this? We know him as the carpenter, the son of Mary, brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon. And his sisters are here with us. They were not able to see who he was. They saw what they had seen before, what they were conditioned to see. They saw this same kid that they grew up with, and they failed to see who Jesus really was. What a difference between last week's gospel and this week's. Last week we have two people who didn't know him, strangers, never met him before, but had faith that he could make them well, and he did. The woman who was bleeding and the man who had a daughter who was dying. This week, Jesus comes to his own people, the people that should have known him best. They had the closest relationship with for the longest, and they don't see who he is. And as a result, we're told he was amazed because of their unbelief, and he couldn't do much there because of their lack of faith. They saw him as something else. They didn't see him for who he was. And that's the question for us, both in terms of other people and in terms of Christ. When we look at Christ, what do we see? Just a prophet, someone who was wise, or someone who laid down his life for us so that we would know the love of God. Someone who transforms us and changes us. And like Diane Stoll, when we look at other people, we see them as children of God, loved by God, made in the image of God. What do you see when you look at someone else?